And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning at KIDO Talk Radio. So we thought we would take advantage of just you. That's what we do all the time. China is in the news. Our great friend Max, who has called in for years, who has joined us at Miller's Mission, who has published books about China, has lived in China, is all about the Chinese. In fact, he might actually be a double agent, so we're going to have to grill him. Joins us now. And by the way, if you have a question about China or this trade war, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. So, Max, good to have you with us.
Good morning, Max Allen, 007. Your double agent on the job.
I'm telling you that Max the Informer. So, when you heard that Donald Trump said we're going to have a trade war, bring it on, your thoughts? What do you believe the Chinese? How will they react?
Well, now this is interesting. If you'd asked me this question 1 year ago, just as I was leaving China, I would have said it's not going to go that far. But since that time, the standing president, Xi Jinping, has been anointed leader for life, essentially emperor. And China has rewritten their constitution, taken out several elements of rights of the government. And you have a man, let me explain. China has three branches of government. Those branches are the government, the party, and the military. To this date, nobody has ever held the reins of all three, not even Chairman Mao. But here, Xi Jinping, the new emperor, has a handle on everything. He is the chairman of the party. He is the president of the government. He is the commanding general of the military, and he is the sole control of the missile division. So he doesn't have anybody to rein him in. He can say what he wants, do what he wants, and because of a marvelously executed campaign, a propaganda campaign, he's almost worshipped by better than half the population.
So wait a minute. Wait. Let me just jump in. I'm sorry to interrupt here.
Go ahead. No.
But he could declare war without having
in a heartbeat. There are no checks and balances. He is the commander-in-chief of the People's Liberation Army, Air Force, Navy, Missile Division. He is the president of the standing government of the People's Republic of China. He is the chairman of the party. China is the party is China. This guy has got a lock like nobody in the history of China, not since the Qing dynasty.
Amazing. So is it more his reaction to this than anything else?
Entirely his. Understand, he has so intimidated the Central Committee and the Politburo. They are so intimidated that no member of those bureaus would have come out on his own and said, "Oh, we're going to do the same." They would not have dared do that without running it by him first. You'll hear from various ministers in various offices, but trust me, these people don't blow their nose without going through him, because in just the last 2 years, he admittedly has executed over 62,000 people because of corruption. And they've disappeared well over 500,000 people. He has had a greater sweep in his first 2 years than Chairman Mao Zedong.
Amazing. So
this is not that kindly 62-year-old leader.
Right.
I fear he is becoming very much like a man known as Il Duce.
Well, before we go so much Mugu Gaipan here at KIDO Talk Radio, let's
That's Mugu Gaipan.
Right.
Go ahead.
By the way, 580-5436, 580-KIDO. If you have a question for Max on China, tell us about doing business in China. Let's say you and I wanted to get together and we wanted to sell AM and FM radios in China. What would we have to do?
Well, the first thing you've got to do is apply to register as a foreign agent doing business in China. And to do that, you must take on one or more Chinese partners who, of their own, have a minimum of 51% control of the company. If the company employs more than 30 people, you must have a party officer on staff. And then that's where the party comes in and becomes a working partner. Now you're functioning, you're working along, and please remember, I'm not faulting the people. The Chinese people are the most wonderful people I've lived among them almost 15 years. They're like diamonds in a field of broken glass. There are so many precious ones hiding among the corrupt. Well, corruption in China is institutionalized. Nobody cares as long as it's the right people. So when I opened a business in China, I also got to start making payoffs. In between the payoffs and the sacrifice of rights and control of the company and the high fees for coming in and going out, the foreign registration, the only way any American company is operating in China is through subterfuge and a great deal of bribery.
Well, look at Boeing. I mean, Boeing had to turn over, like we would have to turn over our technology to the Chinese, and they would own 50% of our company in China, which means the government, it's not a private business, the government owns all the business there, right?
Right. Well, the government doesn't own all the business, but anything the size of Boeing or Walmart, they control it. Mostly they keep their hands off. The government said to Walmart, look, come in. We'll set up some land for you. We'll build the buildings to your specs. You stock it. You run it. We don't do that. We just collect 51%. Go, do your thing. But with Boeing, I would love to know how many tens or hundreds of millions of dollars they put in the pockets of various officials to get in there at all.
So let's break this down. What does this mean? Trump says, China, we're coming for you. And then the Chinese says, well, Donald Trump, we're going to target American stuff.
Oh, this is beautiful. I should explain. Anybody that buys American goods in China, even now, is rich. Okay? I can buy my Ford Explorer in America for $35,000. Okay? You export the same one to China, and it's just under $200,000. So, and American pork, American food products, these are not being bought or eaten by the mainstream of the 1.3 billion Chinese. China will be cutting their own throat, and I am hoping that President Xi, Emperor Xi, who is a very intelligent, very shrewd man, will see this. The common belief of the Chinese people, the mainlanders, is America needs us because we make everything they have. They don't put the shoe on the other foot and say, we need America because everything we make is for them.
Right.
So I'm expecting that President Xi, expecting, he'll take a look at this and he'll say, you know what? We hardly buy anything of theirs and they buy everything of ours. We can't win. And I would like to see him send some representatives or even himself go back to Mar-a-Lago, talk to Trump and work out a deal.
What do you make, though? What do you make of the market's reaction to this? And if that's the case, why hasn't any American president stood up to the Chinese before?
Well, the market it's the wine center of day traders and gamblers. These are guys who haven't got the time to fly to Vegas, that they're gambling on their Mac computer in the living room on their Beacon Hill apartment in Boston. Let them whine. Let them minge. Since about the 80s, the stock market really has not been the bellwether of the American economy. It was always a bellwether. We had heavy manufacturing. We had General Motors. We had people making alarm clocks in Iowa. We don't do that way anymore. And the stock market is fun to watch, and it affects people in various ways. But you can't look at it and say, oh, the market's crashing, so is our economy. That's not true. Any economist will tell you.
All right, Max, let's get back to your intimate knowledge of the Chinese mentality. Do you think they're shocked by Donald Trump? Are they playing Donald Trump? And, again, a lot of people are scared because of the media and the stock market. But the Chinese play the long game, not the short game like us.
That's correct. And the long game is how the Japanese in business also play the long game. They say to their stockholders, do you mind if we lose money all next year so that we can double our earnings the year after that? And the stockholders say, I'm good with that. I'm good with that. In America, you say that, you're out of a job. Everybody's whining and they're selling cheap. Uh, I'm looking for China to make a few token tariffs. And before anything really gets a chance to gel, it's all going to end. Because the Chinese people, now please understand, the people love Americans. We are treated like kings. They all want to shake our hand and talk to us. They all want to ask questions about that great land across the ocean. I have never met anybody in China who doesn't want to visit, and probably 90% of them would love to live here. They love this place. They love American goods. That, generally speaking, they can't afford them, but they love them. And as far as Trump goes, they're more amused than anything else because Donald Trump breaks the mold of every president we've had. Instead of being a cookie cutter, red tie, blue jacket, American flag, blah, 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 he's a man who talks and thinks for himself. And by and large, the Chinese have a great deal of respect for him in the fact that he says what he thinks and he acts on it. They respect that. But they respect the same qualities in Emperor Xi Jinping. They're torn. You ask them, what about Trump? Oh, Trump is good, man, but he's wrong. How about Xi Jinping? Oh, I love Xi Jinping.
All right, we're in the weeds, Max. So
all right.
Is this a good thing for America, number one? But before we get to that at KIDO Talk Radio, by the way, Max has written books on China. We'll get to that in a minute. But number two, what about Idaho? I mean, we're kissing up to the Chinese all the time. Are good farmers, and they are good people. We sell a lot of food to the Chinese.
What worries me is we'll impose these tariffs, okay, to protect our industries. And as they've done in the past, our industries will just jack the prices up to match the tariff. The American people are simply going to see a price increase. Then the Chinese hit us with a tariff, and we're not going to feel a lot of that because the percentage of trade we do with them is minuscule.
Well, no, then you have people saying, well, we buy our TVs from China. We buy this from China. China.
And that's when you're going to start seeing more Korea, Taiwan, Malaysia, Mexico.
So the South Koreans are loving it.
And the Japanese are ecstatic because if you look at their government, they've recently lowered the import tariffs on American goods and are seeking most favored trade status with the U.S. These other countries will quickly fill the gap that is currently being filled by the world's second largest economy, China, and this could actually plunge them into an even deeper recession than they're in. And mark my words, they have been in a recession for nearly 2.5 years. I watched factory workers, 40,000 at one plant alone, receive a 45% wage cut as the government started tightening their belt 2 years ago.
Amazing.
Property values in the city of $5 million plummeted. I'm talking into the toilet.
Max, finally, if people want more information on your life in China, what's it like to be an American in China, or what the Chinese, their thought process, what can they do?
I would say you could probably go to Amazon.com and pick up either one of my two books. That would be Eyes on China. The other book is Paper Dragon. They're available in Kindle and in print, and they're both easy reads. They're under 150 pages. I should just, as a plug, mention that Paper Dragon has been so successful, I could say there are thousands of copies sitting on government desks with 3-letter identification. A lot of people have been reading it. I've gotten feedback from people in Washington in sensitive positions. We've talked back and forth. It's eye-opening, and it's an easy read.
All right,
but
that's
Amazon.
Okay, Max, we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, buddy.
All right, our great friend Max. Thank you. There you have it. So much for a smooth transition. Coming up next, one of the most celebrated, astute diplomats on China. By the way, Terry, I don't know why you continue to text me. If you want to say you're right and you want to warn us about the Chinese, it doesn't work to text me. Call us at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. More Eyes on China next, and then we'll talk a little bit about the Idaho legislature. You're listening to Kevin Miller on KIDO Talk Radio.
Do you know that in China, there are 56 cities with over 1 million people? You know how many we have here? 9.
Actually, that's not true. I know the figure you're referring to, and it's a projection of 15 years from now.
Thank God.
No, that is right now.
Michael, China is agrarian. Urbanizing fast? You betcha. But still agrarian.
Most in terms of land, not population.
Come on, Michael.
No, you're wrong about this.
Where are you getting this information?
I got it from NewYorkTimes.com.
Uh-oh. Getting nervous, Oscar?
Okay, someone look it up.
I'm on it, Jim. I'm on it.
Guys, it's not worth it, really. Guys, this is not worth our time.
Are you watching this? Seriously?
Well, are you?
I'm sitting right here.
Got it. China has 56 cities with a population of over 1 million. The U.S. has 9.
Suck it, Oscar.
Well, on the plus side, all this worrying about China has made you smarter than Oscar, Michael.
And there we have it from The Office. Michael Scott warning people about China. And certainly many people are worried about China with this trade war going on. We want to thank Max for joining us at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. And people are wondering, what's going to happen. Maybe it's time to go buy everything and go into debt even more. Why? Why not? Because the cost of goods will be going up. I really wish the media would focus in on just reporting the news and not, ginning up these stories. Why not do a story on the steel workers that have been out of work? Doesn't that relate more than Stormy Daniels? See what I'm saying? That's one thing at 580-5436, 580-KIDO. 26 after the hour. Traffic. And Kevin Miller in the morning here. Let's go to the phones. And well, if it isn't Jimmy from Star. Good morning, Jimmy.
Well. How you doing, Millie?
No, I wanted to ask you a question. Usually you ask me questions, and then I don't answer them.
Yeah, you're good at that.
I am. Because I have no answers, just whatever I can yap about. Okay, how do you see the governor's race playing out? You and I talk about a lot of things here at KIDO Talk Radio. I haven't really gotten your take on the governor's race.
That's a good question. Well, here's the thing. I'm a little bit worried about Little sneaking in there, just because people don't like change, and a lot of people like just the same old status quo. And he is just a little bit different version as far as looks-wise of the current governor, but it's going to be the same old thing.
Now, let's be totally honest. Yeah. You hang out with Governor Otter. You both live in Star, and you see the governor quite a bit. And you're always friendly with the governor. So, I mean, if you like the governor, then, why are you upset about, the lieutenant governor running?
Well, I've talked to Butch a few times, and
you've yelled at him before. You've yelled at him before about the illegals.
Yeah,
you have.
He got a little bent out of shape about that. Now, he's a pretty friendly guy. Wife, not so much.
Now, let's not go there. And those are your comments, and well, I'm going to apologize for you on that. Let's just continue on. We're not getting personal here. Go ahead, sir.
Just because you got a crush on her. So I think Labrador is a good choice, but there's a few things that he does that that I'm not in agreement with. But I really think
boy, who do you like? You don't like anybody apparently.
I like Alquist already. I like Tommy.
Really?
Yeah. I I have the same kind of feeling. Like, you know what? He knows business. He understands. He's more like the angle of a Trump without the compulsion of Twitter and having a bunch of side hustles going on. He seems like a pretty solid guy. There's a couple things I don't like about him, but who is going to fill every gap for you as a political leader? They're not. There's never going to be that perfect guy except for Ronald Reagan.
Okay.
Right. Yeah. So that's where. Does that give you pretty much did that answer what you were
More
hoping to give
information
you?
than I wanted, but I asked for it.
There you go. I could tell you more too. I could tell you more about but I can't. I got to keep it on the DL. But I also called in about, you're my buddy. Did someone ever, did you have a Chinese girlfriend that hurt you and broke your heart? Because nobody just has more disdain with the Chinese than you. Nobody.
No?
Never?
No, I've been, along with Bill Gertz, I've been covering China's growing influence into this country since the late 90s. And Bill Gertz is the foremost expert on China. He's written several books about it. He's broken stories about it. And you go back to what Clinton did. He sold them the missile technology that now is used against us, those missiles that could kill Americans. You take a look at them stealing everything, and nobody stands up to them. And look, the Chinese could come in and buy KIDO Talk Radio, and, I'd find something to do. But, I mean, that's how powerful they are, and they don't like free speech, and I've got an issue with that. I have an issue with our politicians that don't stand up to them. So bravo, President Trump.
No, good for you. I mean, I was just trying to make a little bit of a joke out of it, but I'm with you when you.
You should leave the jokes for Liberal Steve.
No, Liberal Steve, he's an equal opportunity offender. Hey, let's talk about this. Let's talk about Karen McDougal, all right? Did you see that interview that was just done on CNN there?
No, not yet.
No, oh, wow. Oh, this is a hot one. So not only is McDougal a former, playmate, Melania is a pretty gal. Stormy Daniels is a good-looking gal. But this McDougal puts the hurt on both of them really bad. And she flat out tells Anderson Cooper, look, I had a relationship with him. I met him at the mansion. We were doing Celebrity Apprentice. And she says he just kept making his way over to me, and he would talk to me. And the gal, the mother bunny, if you will, said, I think Trump really has something for you. And next thing you know, they're meeting in a private bungalow at a big hotel in Beverly Hills, if I'm not mistaken.
Wait a minute. So what?
So what? I'm just saying that Trump has really good taste in women, but you're not supposed to.
KIDO Talk Radio, 32 after the hour. Let's take a look at what's happening in your world. Good morning, Maggie.
Good.
And Kevin Miller in the morning here, coming up, honoring a true American institution. Cindy in Caldwell, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Cindy.
Well, Kevin, I thank you for honoring a true institution created by God, and that's marriage. And, I did want to speak to something just really quick about China because I have several missionary friends that actually brought they brought them through customs, but they got Bibles into China because there's a lot happening with the persecuted church over in China because of all the repressiveness. And yes, they have a state church they allow, but it's what you want, it's what they want you to purport from the pulpit. So lots going on in China, and I always look at China actually with biblical, I would have to say, comparison and what's going to happen in the future. So know exactly what will happen with China, but as well as I know exactly what will happen with Israel. So you mentioned a couple of candidates this morning, and one I can see why he's purporting trade, with Israel, and that's where the pulse will be for the future, especially for how things will go eventually. And it's a big word, but with end-time eschatology. But you know what? Since I have to listen to the ads, well, I choose to, Kevin, because you have some great sponsors on there. But when you are not doing, when you're not, doing your transitions, I'm glad that you stood up for our president in a way by shutting down this. I'm really rather done, with the lewd, crude. It's tragic that this is what sells in America. All these literally titillating comments, all this tabloid kind of stuff about a woman who chose to engage in a sexual relationship, with a man. And I'm just going to give it to you for real. I'm in and out of church because it's Lent. Next week will be the church. And I'm just sick of the lack of understanding. I'm going to say by Christians. Because, there's a beautiful scene in The Passion of the Christ where this beautiful woman looks up to Jesus and he forgives her sin. And what was her sin? Her sin was being lustful, probably getting caught in the act. Of course, the man was nowhere around. But the tragedy is, Jesus says, you fools out there picking on the president. And, the gentleman that you cut off, he said it right there. He goes, you who look at a person with some kind of lust, or you are as guilty as the fornicator and the adulterer.
Now that's scripture right there.
And that is a fact.
Yep.
That is a fact. So when people are wagging and pointing this finger, thank you, Kevin, because, there's another famous person in the Bible, Noah. They had two sons, one who went on to go be in all look what my dad just did, and the other backed away, and you just did that, Kevin. So there's something deep in your soul and your spirit that you see something that's going, south with comments, and I really want to thank you for that, because I'm believing the president is honoring his marital vows with all the things going on in the world. I'm taking myself, because I'm so sick of Biden, last night over to see the movie Entebbe, to see real men in action, an event that really did happen. And I'm over there for an hour and a half just to take my just to go put myself in a spot where I can be, it's not proud, but I can come alongside and see something that was very worth, and there's a lot of strategy in that war room over there. So we are at a war. It's going to be Trump's war. They are never, ever, ever, ever. They're like a dog with a bone in the media. They are not going to let go of him. So thank you for being, as I always call you, my watchman on the wall. And thank you for honoring marriage and not going away. Men have eye gates. Yes, they do. It's in the Song of Solomon in the Bible. They will look. God created sex, and I'm just done that we can't get on to something else, which I'm sure we will with the march on Saturday. You'll have something to report on that.
Yes, the march will be happening. I've got to run, but thank you.
You stay strong, Kevin, and thank you for having moral fiber to know when to stop a conversation, not supporting our president. Bye-bye, sir.
Bye-bye. 580-540-5436. 580-KIDO. Let's go to Dan in Middleton. Dan, good morning. You're on KIDO Talk Radio.
Hey, Kevin. Boy, I almost want to hear harp music. Look, Labrador came out yesterday, I think it was yesterday, and said that he wanted term limits. Well, all he'd have to do for that is reinstate the bill that we passed. The voters voted on it 3 times. It passed 3 times, and the State House refused to enact it. When we voted in term limits years ago.
Yeah, what didn't they? Wasn't it repealed or something of that nature? Because I remember.
They refused to enact it. They actually just refused to enact it. Get Hank on; he'll tell you all about it.
I'm sure he'll be calling in.
Yep. All right, I'm done.
Thank you, Dan. Take care. Ronnie in Caldwell at KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, sir.
Hey, dude, what's happening? TGIR to everybody. I was calling in today mainly because it seems like you're pretty stressed out today, dude. And I was trying to see if I could be a friend and help you out.
Actually, we call that focus, but go ahead, please.
And I don't know if it's focus or what, but sometimes when you got stories in the news about China, you seem to get wound up. No. I'm serious, dude. It's a trigger for you. You know what a trigger is in the world of psychology?
It sounds like you've had some. It sounds like you've had some therapy.
I have had therapy, dude. I had to have a lot of therapy. You know, that's something that maybe we should get into down the road on the show, because it's been a rough life for Ronnie. But I'm worried about you, man. You seem like you're a little edgy, and I just want to make sure, is everything okay, or do you need a number to a hotline or something?
The hotline here is 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Thank you for your concern.
All right, dude. I just wanted to check, make sure everything's good. And just, if things get a little crazy during a break, just do a breathing routine.
Well, thank you for your concern. It's really helped the tune-in process for this segment.
I'm sure it has, because everybody needs a little help once in a while. I'm going to let myself go. 10, 9, 8, 7. Goodbye.
No, that's actually, what is that song, John Cougar Mellencamp, Everybody Needs a Hand to Hold On To? Well, thank you, Ronnie. Thank you for your concern. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Now's a good time to just take a deep breath here, and there's a big movie coming out. And I think it's going to change lives. And I hope that you get to go see it. And I know this big Christian movie that's out is changing lives as well, from the guy from Mercy Me. I think Sean Hannity's behind that one. But this is you know how people say life is so precious, and we were making fun of Joe Biden, or at least I was, about regret. And there are a couple things when I was working in another place called Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was, and still is, that's where I think it's where the first radio station was, which is where I was, and I think it was the first public television station in the country. There's a big history of TV there. And, of course, that's where Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, did his show from. And I always thought it was one of those things that I never got around to doing, was because he was such an institution in our country with kids. Now, I never really got Mr. Rogers. He was a little too friendly for me. But that shouldn't discredit his fine work. And you had, that was the first generation of latchkey kids. Kids that would come home and the television would raise them. And here you have, whether it was Sesame Street or the Electric Company or what have you, here you had Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Now, there's a documentary coming out. I'm going to share with you the trailer on this. But where is Mr. Rogers today? Well, he's in our homes. He's in our churches. He's in our workplace. But Mr. Rogers is certainly someone that should be honored. And, back to me briefly, one of my mistakes is I never really reached out to those people that knew Fred Rogers. I believe that Fred Rogers was still alive when I was there, but just to be a part of that. And if you ever fly into Pittsburgh, I know there are a lot of Pittsburgh Steelers fans everywhere, but there are a lot of them in Idaho. There are, in the airport, you see George Washington because of the French and Indian War. You see Franco Harris, and then you used to see bits and pieces of the set from Fred Rogers. But in this era, and whether you are with the president or not, whether you like Mitt Romney or not, whether you like Governor Otter or not, where is the unifying force that Fred Rogers once was? In this era of scandal, in this era of Father Forche, in this era where, you go back to something to believe in, Fred Rogers, and they're still running Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, but there was a thought process behind it. And I listened to this clip and I thought, wouldn't it be great to share this with you today?
A television program for children made its unauspicious debut on station WQED in Pittsburgh. Its host, Fred Rogers.
Mr. Rogers?
Yeah.
I want to tell you something.
What would you like to tell me?
I like you.
I like you, my dear. Thank you very much for telling me that.
If you take all of the elements that make good television and do the exact opposite, you have Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Low production values, simple set, unlikely star. Yet, it worked.
Hello. I've always felt that I didn't need to put on a funny hat or jump through the hoop to have a relationship with a child.
He was always trying to get a message across in every show.
A week on death.
What does assassination mean?
On divorce.
Some people get married, and after a while they're so unhappy that they don't want to be married anymore.
He was radical. I know everyone says that, but he was radical.
They didn't want black people to come and swim in their swimming pools. My being on the program was a statement for Fred.
A neighborhood was a place where, at times that you felt worried, scared, unsafe, would take care of you.
He had a singular vision of kindness and love.
Love is at the root of everything. All learning, all relationships, love or the lack of it. Children have very deep feelings, just the way everybody does. There must be times when you do feel blue. I'm not feeling blue right now, though.
Me
Won't you be my neighbor? Well, I suppose it's an invitation. It's an invitation for somebody to be close to you. The greatest thing that we can do is to help somebody know that they're loved and capable of loving. Won't you please, please won't you be my neighbor?
And that's the title of that documentary, Won't You Be My Neighbor, coming out this summer. By the way, we have a story about it, and you can watch the trailer itself in its entirety at KIDOTalkRadio.com. But I thought, again, whether you liked Mr. Rogers or not, what a refreshing look. And, certainly we need those figures today. And not to be someone who just plays that on radio or some other electronic means, but lives it, as Fred Rogers did. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. And good morning. Blessed to be a part of your day. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Getting back to could there be another Fred Rogers, number one. Number two, the president continues to make waves, if you will, by saying we're going to protect American workers and bring those jobs back here. Earlier today, he was talking about protecting American citizens.
Democrats' priority is to protect criminals, not to do what's right for our country. My priority and the priority of my administration is to serve, protect, and defend the citizens of the United States. Sanctuary cities and states like California put innocent Americans at the mercy of hardened criminals, hardened murderers in many cases. Yet House and Senate Democrats voted nearly unanimously in favor of sanctuary cities. Explain that.
Great point by the president. Coming up, some cities in California are saying no to being a sanctuary state. And Kevin Miller in the morning here as we move along. Phone numbers 580-5436, 580-KIDO.
It's bad law. And this is stopping that local police working with federal government. And this comes down to public safety. So it's not really safe on the street that, we, as a government duty, right. The first thing, first priority is public safety for the people. So we have to do something about it. Sure. And, these police's, especially sheriff's, hands been tied, so we have to make sure that they can work with federal government.
Right. You say that Orange County has a large immigrant population, and they are supporting you because the left in California has created all of this chaos, right?
Yes, we have large immigrant communities, and we embrace our diverse culture. And
there you have it, a young lady talking to Steve Ducey from our flagship show, Fox and Friends, on KIDO Talk Radio, saying, look, we got a lot of immigrants here in Orange County, but they do it legally, and we don't want to be a sanctuary state. It is unsafe. It is unhealthy. It doesn't lead to anything productive. And there you have it, Orange County saying, we are not going down with that. Good for them. Good for Orange County saying that we don't want to be a sanctuary state. We don't want to be in rebellion against the United States of America. That's the idea, right? That's the case in point when we're thinking about this and saying to ourselves, well, not everybody in California is bad, but could you imagine living in a place where they don't respect the law? And many people have from California have moved to Idaho because of that. They just want some law and order. I just wish they would change their plates over. Is that asking too much? I mean, when you come to Idaho, is that really asking too much to get rid of those California plates? Doesn't really cost that much, does it, to make that happen? Why not do that and really embrace the gem state? But I'm kidding. Good for the folks of California. Maybe that state can be saved, although there are, over 138,000 people that are leaving that state each and every day. You can read more about that at KIDOTalkRadio.com. The California exodus continues. Plus an article on Bully Biden. Hey, we're just getting started. Blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio.